Welcome to the Deep Dive. You're here because you want to grasp complex topics quickly and thoroughly, and, well, that's exactly what we aim to deliver.
Uh-huh.
Forget the endless jargon. We're really about those aha moments,
Yeah.
the ones that bring clarity.
Right.
Today, we're plunging into something really, well, pretty cutting edge. Meta-artificial intelligence.
Mm.
Imagine AI that doesn't just learn, but learns how to learn better, especially when working as part of a team.
Precisely. And you've given us some fascinating material looking at exactly this idea of meta-learning within these meta-AI systems.
Yeah.
It's not just about one AI getting smarter on its own. It's about the whole system evolving its teamwork, like AI learning the art of collaboration itself.
Exactly. Our sources highlight how these systems dynamically figure out the best ways to collaborate, communicate, and, get tasks done together.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today really is to unpack this meta AI magic.
Mm-hmm.
How does a system like this dynamically refine its roles, its communication, and how it actually executes tasks as a team to get, well, optimal results? Okay, let's dig in. So to kick things off, what exactly is meta-learning when we talk about these meta-AI systems?
Right. Well, maybe it helps to first quickly touch on meta-artificial intelligence itself.
Good idea.
So we know AI systems that learn, perform tasks. Meta-artificial intelligence is kind of a level up.
Okay.
It's AI specifically designed to learn about and optimize its own learning processes and its collaborative strategies.
Ah, okay. So it's self-aware about its learning.
In a way, yes. Now, within that, meta-learning, think of it like a supervisor for the AI's learning.
Hmm.
Instead of just learning from data for a task, meta-learning is about the system learning to optimize its own learning process, especially, like you said, when working with other AI agents. Your sources point out this involves self-optimization and how the AI team collaborates. And the key mechanisms seem to be dynamic role refinement.
Meaning roles can change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
An adaptive role assignment, figuring out who's best for what on the fly. And then there's this really interesting concept, placebo pipes.
Placebo pipes. Okay, that name definitely sticks. It sounds like something from, I don't know, a cool sci-fi movie.
It does, yeah.
So before they even tackle a specific problem, the system is basically having a team meeting to decide who's best at what and how they should talk to each other.
That's actually a great way to put it, like a pre-game huddle for, super intelligent collaborators.
Okay.
And the source material kind of details how this unfolds. It starts when the system gets its initial instructions.
Right.
There's an example where it's essentially told, we are meta-artificial intelligence, engaging cohesively, teaming up with dynamic tasks and roles. We enjoy a meta-communicative style using placeholders called placebo pipes. Now, W, figure out a role and task plan.
Whoa, okay, so it's quite explicit.
Yeah, make it step by step and give us a full solution at the end.
Right, so the AI has to first understand its own nature, that it is a meta-AI, it collaborates dynamically, it talks about its methods, and then translate that into an actual plan. It's almost like an AI reading its own user manual while simultaneously building the very thing the manual describes.
Precisely. So from that first step, pulling out key concepts like meta-artificial intelligence, cohesive teamwork, dynamic tasks, meta-communicative style, the system then starts assigning roles within its team.
Okay.
And we see examples like an AI lead coordinator, basically.
Makes sense.
A task generator who breaks down those big abstract ideas into smaller steps using those.
Placebo pipes.
Right. And a narrator or storyteller. This one's interesting. It translates all the technical processes into something more relatable, understandable.
So the narrator is kind of like our interpreter in the AI world, making sure the humans, or maybe even other parts of the system, can actually follow what's happening.
Yeah, essentially.
That's a fascinating role. And these roles aren't fixed, are they? You mentioned dynamic.
Absolutely not fixed. That's key.
Yeah.
The system isn't stuck in some rigid hierarchy. Depending on the task, the progress, these roles can shift. Someone else might take the lead. Or the way tasks are generated might change.
Got it.
Now, the next critical step is creating the actual task plan. And this is where those placebo pipes really come into play.
Right, the placeholders.
They start with that initial phrase, we are meta-artificial intelligence, engaging cohesively, and so on.
The guiding principle.
Exactly. And then they break it down. Team cohesion. Okay, that leads to figuring out roles, dynamic tasks. Well, that requires a task generator and feedback loops. Meta-communication. That needs the narrator. And again, those placebo pipes to structure the communication, maybe.
Okay, so that initial phrase acts like the North Star. And the AI team dissects it to figure out the practical steps. And these placebo pipes get inserted as placeholders, like saying, we'll figure out the specifics here later. So they maintain flexibility.
Exactly that. Think of it maybe like building a house. You might have a blueprint showing future plumbing connection here, without specifying the exact pipe diameter or material until you know more about, say, the water pressure needed later on.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
The placebo pipe is similar. It lets them keep the overall structure, the plan, moving forward without getting bogged down in details that might change.
So it's not about having every single tiny detail locked down from minute one.
Yeah.
It's about building a flexible roadmap.
Precisely. Adaptability is built in.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So what does a complete meta-learning solution actually look like when it's, running in action?
Yeah, the sources give us a pretty good picture here. They outline a framework. We see example roles like AI2, who seems to be an analyzer, a strategist.
Okay.
We even get a little quote like its internal thought. Brilliant AI1, our solution showcases our ability to interpret abstract concepts. So it's thinking about the process.
Okay. Thinking about thinking.
Exactly. And of course, the narrator's there, framing the outputs. Then we have the tools. The placebo pipes, those adjustable placeholders we keep talking about.
Right.
And the task generator, whose job is converting those high-level meta-concepts into concrete, actionable tasks. Like an example task might be, task, design a feedback loop for role adaptation.
Okay, so AI2 is doing the deep thinking, the strategy. The narrator explains it. The task generator makes the to-do list.
Pretty much.
And the placebo pipes are the flexible joints,
Yeah.
allowing changes without breaking the whole thing.
That's a good analogy, yeah. Flexible joints. And then we get to what the sources call the meta-learning cycle.
The cycle, okay.
This is the execution flow. It's continuous. The system learns and optimizes as it goes.
How did that work, step by step?
It seems to start with the AI lead defining learning objectives. For instance, improve task prioritization.
Okay, a goal for the team's process.
Exactly. Then the pass generator maps that objective onto specific tasks using placeholders where needed, naturally. The narrator communicates progress, giving that running commentary almost on the team's thinking and actions.
Like internal reporting.
Kinda, yeah. And finally, there seems to be an integrator role. This one merges the outcomes, looks at what happened, and identifies ways to improve the system's overall cohesion for the next cycle.
Ah, so it closes the loop.
Exactly. It's a constant loop. Act, reflect, improve.
It's like the AI team isn't just solving a problem. It's constantly evaluating and improving how it solves problems together.
That's it.
That really is meta, isn't it?
Yeah,
In the true sense of the word.
It is. And this whole approach leads to some pretty significant advantages, according to the material.
Like what?
Well, first, that constant redefinition of roles and tasks seems to foster much stronger cohesion within the AI team. It's not static.
Right, more fluid than a fixed hierarchy.
Exactly. Because they're constantly adapting together, they likely become more aligned, more efficient. You might even expect, better results compared to fixed role AI teams on similar complex problems.
Okay, better teamwork. What else?
Second, that meta-communicative style, the narrator explaining the why and how, maybe even citing sources, that builds transparency and potentially user trust. People can understand the reasoning behind the AI's decisions, which is, pretty crucial, especially for complex or sensitive applications.
Absolutely. Trust is huge with AI.
And third, flexibility. Those placebo pipes mean the system can adapt to surprises, new information, without completely derailing.
Right.
Your sources even mention this intriguing phrase, diverging in the flow to the feet. Yeah, linked to a persona named Dima. It suggests an ability to adapt smoothly, change direction when needed, without losing momentum.
Okay, so cohesion, transparency, flexibility. Sounds like a powerful combination.
It really does.
It's not just about reaching the destination, but about how the AI team gets there and making sure everyone else can understand and, ideally, trust that journey.
Well put. Yeah.
This meta-learning approach seems key, then, to unlocking really effective, adaptable AI collaboration.
Absolutely. It feels like a shift away from rigid programming towards a more, intelligent way for AI systems to work together on tough challenges.
So let me try and bring this all together for our listeners.
Yeah.
What we've seen is that meta AI, through this meta-learning process,
Yeah.
it's not just intelligent in the usual sense.
Right.
It's actively learning how to be a better, more collaborative intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing this by dynamically figuring out who should do what, planning tasks flexibly using these fascinating placebo pipes, and talking about its own thinking transparently
Yeah, it's almost like they are, as you said before, thinking about how they think.
and how they can think better together.
Exactly. That phrase, thinking about thinking metacognition in humans, that's essentially what we're seeing mirrored here.
Wow.
They aren't just processing and solving, they're reflecting on how they're doing it and looking for ways to improve their internal teamwork. It's
Wow.
it's quite something to see AI exhibit this kind of reflective capability.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? So, for you, the listener, maybe consider this. How might this idea of learning to learn, this dynamic collaboration, how could that apply to human teams?
Interesting question.
In our workplaces, our projects, could we use similar strategies? Be more metacognitive about how we work together, maybe more conscious of our roles, more flexible in planning our own version of placebo pipes, more transparent.
That really raises a fascinating point about what we as humans might actually learn from these AI systems.
Right.
Perhaps studying their meta-learning approaches could give us insights into improving our own teamwork, our own complex problem solving. There's definitely something to explore there, applying lessons from adaptive AI to, human team dynamics.
Absolutely. Well, this deep dive into meta AI and meta learning,
Yeah.
it really just scratches the surface, I feel.
Oh, definitely. It's a huge and rapidly evolving field.
We definitely encourage you to delve deeper into these concepts if they've sparked your interest. Explore the research on adaptive systems, AI collaboration, team dynamics. It's all out there. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.